It's been a while since we last talked about Lilly Singh, and the last time we did, it was about her NBC late night show that ended up getting canceled. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about why I think that was and how the network really set her up to fail, and how other creators have come out and recently voiced their opinions on what happened to her. So let's go back to the beginning. Lilly Singh started her YouTube channel in 2010 under the name Superwoman, and also later made a second channel to post vlogs and more behind the scenes stuff on a channel called Superwoman Vlogs. She quickly rose to fame and earned herself over 11 million Instagram followers and 14 million YouTube subscribers. That is crazy. Lilly's content was mainly attracting a younger audience. She was funny and her videos were silly, and younger kids and teens were attracted to those videos. As the face of such an ad-friendly channel, YouTube loved her, and she was given tons of opportunities to represent the platform. She was featured in YouTube Rewinds, she would speak at conventions, and she was even invited to represent YouTube at the Met Gala one year. By 2016, she ranked 8th on Forbes' list of world top earning YouTube stars of 2015. And that same year, she also won 2 Teen Choice Awards, just 2 of many awards that she has won over the years. Her career was at an all-time high as she just finished her A Trip to Unicorn Island tour that took her around the world, performing for tons of her fans. She was getting opportunities outside of the YouTube bubble as well, from book deals to being cast in movies, TV shows, and music videos. She had worked so hard over the span of her career that in 2019, NBC gave her the opportunity of a lifetime to go from making YouTube videos to hosting a late night talk show. At the time, Carson Daly was leaving his late night television slot, and his leaving meant the network was on the hunt for the next big host. Lilly was announced in March of 2019, and she was going to fill the spot with her show A Little Late with Lilly Singh. In September of that same year, her first season started, and with this also came a rebrand of sorts. Lilly had dropped Superwoman from her social media name, and she was just going by Lilly Singh. The show, once it got started, was a hot topic for a while, and if you guys have been around watching my channel for a long time, you guys know we talked about it here on this channel, because once it came out, everyone was like, oh my god. It was such an incredible opportunity for not just women, but women of color, and also for YouTubers. This was a lot of pressure that was put on her and on the show to do well, for sure. Just because at the time, honestly, not that many people were taking YouTubers seriously and giving influencers opportunities like they are now, and they weren't quite yet being seen as full-on celebrities themselves. So the pressure was on. And once the show had aired, people felt like it was not living up to what they had wanted it to be. It was quite cringy, the jokes weren't landing, the writing made it seem like she was trying too hard to be funny, and people were saying the wardrobe was doing her dirty. She was just being sold as this cringy YouTuber who now has a television show and doesn't know the difference between being online and being on a TV show. It was just not it.
Well, I don't have a lot of terrible exes, lie, but I do have a lot of terrible YouTube comments. So I thought we could take a minute out of tonight's show to have a computer read a few of them while I dance to the beautiful words of my haters. Should we do this?
Is literally the worst thing I have ever seen. Who gave her this show? I hate this on so many levels, not even about being sexist, I just hate it in general. My god, one more of these ads in my feed, and I'm deleting YouTube. Who was like, oh hey, let's give the most unfunny person ever a show.
Then she started getting in trouble for things that she was joking about on the show. Like, she had made a joke about turbans in an episode, and she had to come out and put out an apology for that. She said, a very important and heartfelt apology. I'm sorry, and thank you for helping me grow. She said, hey, my friends, my timing is very poor. I just made a post about dealing with hate online because I saw a tweet from someone making fun of my outfit and I was completely oblivious to a larger issue happening. In a recent episode of my show, I stupidly made a comparison about turbans that I'd like to apologize for. My guest was explaining how her kids were embarrassed I saw them with towels twisted on their heads, and I said, don't worry, it's like my Punjabi friends. In the moment, my thought process was, don't be embarrassed. I think that's dope. But in hindsight, I recognize that was a disrespectful and problematic joke to make that has a lot of painful history behind it, and I'm very sorry. This was the first episode of the show I ever taped, and I was very nervous doing improv that wasn't well thought out. I'm incredibly sorry to those I hurt with the comparison, and I want to make it clear that I'm incredibly grateful to the people who took the time to bring this to my attention and educate me on the matter. I appreciate that you approach me with love and patience. I don't wear a turban and I haven't lived that experience, and so I really value people giving perspective. I'm grateful that this was a teachable moment instead of another opportunity to divide and attack. This is all new to me. I'm still learning and growing. I know the line for comedy is subjective, so I can only do what I feel is right, and in this case, taking full ownership and apologizing feels right. No ands, ifs, or buts. It was wrong. I hope you continue to make space for me to make mistakes and improve from them. Aside from these words, I've also taken the action to ensure my stupid joke is removed from the episode and online clips. Thank you, and here's to a life of growth and improvement X Lilly XO. Now, as time went on, people went from hating on the show, ripping it apart, to just feeling bad. The thing is, it wasn't like this was Lily's YouTube channel, where she can read the comments and then make changes because it's her channel and she has all the power. No, this was a NBC show, and she was just the face of it. There were teams of writers working with her, a team to dress her, people filming her, and people of much higher power that controlled the schedule and definitely controlled her. Just because this was her show with her name on it, she was still a YouTuber at the end of the day doing this for the first time and probably didn't have that much say over her own show. And Lilly was big for her YouTube videos where she was funny, but her humor hit within the kids and teen demographic range. This show was coming on at 1 a.m. and I don't know a single parent that would let their kids stay up that late every single night, every single weeknight for that matter, to watch TV. Her show was also filmed way before it aired, and I think this really hurt her a ton. Typically for talk shows like Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, James Corden, her literal competition, their shows are all filmed the same day that they air for the most part. Sometimes like on Thursdays, they'll film 2 episodes so they don't have to come in on a Friday. It really depends, but most of the time they're filming the day that the show airs on TV. They will just film in the morning and then the show will come on at night. Lilly was filming her show months in advance and filming multiple shows at one time, which means she couldn't talk about anything pop culture related, anything that was in the news, because by the time it came out, it would be too old. So this really hurt her in connecting with people from an older age, watching her late at night, trying to see if maybe she talks about current events. Nope, that's not gonna happen. She can't do that. The writers can't predict what's going to happen in a couple months, so they have to just keep everything super general, and that just didn't seem like anything that was working for them in this show. The writers were trying to write for her fans, to their humor, kid humor, stuff that she was doing in her YouTube videos. They were trying to replicate that, but it just wasn't working with the people that were actually watching it. People were even noting that the crowd in her show was like bored. No one was really clapping, and they just seemed like they weren't interested or interacting with her as she was recording the show in general. It was a sad, vicious cycle of one bad review after another, and things got worse once the pandemic started, you guys, because Lily's show had been filmed so far in advance that her show and everything that she was saying, it just seemed like she was so out of touch. All the other late night hosts were filming at home, and she was just on her stage making jokes, a crowd full of people, and nobody cared because it was during the pandemic. Like, everyone is talking about COVID and everyone is talking about staying at home, and she's making jokes about going on vacation and being at the beach. And it's just so uncomfortable because she's also saying what day it is. And everyone at home that doesn't know this was filmed months ago is probably so confused. It just sucks so bad because she's honestly famous for making videos in her room. She could have probably shined doing a show from home in her comfort zone, But no, that just didn't end up happening for her. She didn't get that opportunity during her first season. So Lilly knew people were saying things about her and her show, but she did try to fight off all the hate that she was getting and really push through it, because honestly, I don't think that any changes were going to be made on her behalf, and she didn't really have much say in it, even though the ratings were down. But shockingly, she did get renewed for a second season, which a lot of people were surprised about, and I think they wanted to try and take the show in a different direction, but it was also the pandemic still, so doing any show was extremely difficult. And by the end of season 2 of Lilly's show, it was officially canceled.
This season was really special to me for a lot of reasons. I mean, it was the first time I ever got to comment on current events happening in the news. And I'm proud that we did it unapologetically. We had research-backed opinions, and we really didn't pull any punches. I really liked that some days we could make thought-provoking commentary through comedy, and then the very next day we would do the opposite and do something silly and dumb. I'm talking like one night we would release a sketch about holding the police accountable for racist tactics, and then the very next day we would do a sketch about a doctor who uses cabbages for butt implants. Balance! But I can honestly say, after 2 seasons of late night, the single most rewarding thing for me was giving some long overdue exposure to voices that deserve to be on late night.
A lot of people saw it as, oh, YouTubers can't leave the YouTube bubble, but I don't think that's true. There's plenty of YouTubers who have been very successful, gone and migrated to mainstream media, and are being taken extremely serious now. I think what happened to Lilly was she was not understood at the time by higher ups, and businessmen and women working at NBC thought she has followers, they will obviously follow her to this show and we will get views, without realizing that her audience isn't going to be up at 1 a.m. and the dynamic of the show just like wasn't working. But I do think that now the industry has grown and it's being taken a lot more seriously. Influencers are being taken a lot more seriously than they once were. And I do think a lot of these bigger companies understand influencer audiences much more now than when Lilly was doing her show. Even though it was just a couple years ago, I really think that the pandemic and TikTok in general, people realize how big these influencers really are. And an example I will give you guys is Netflix knew exactly what they were doing putting Addison Rae in a movie. I know that a lot of people don't agree with this, but she did have that movie at #1 in multiple countries for weeks because she was in a young teen movie, and people that follow her and like her are young teens. It worked. So I think they just put Lilly in something that was not right for her audience, her demographic, the time that it was coming out. Everything about the show just did not set her up for success. And I will tell you guys, I am not the only one who thinks that she was not set up correctly. Recently, Brittany Broski did an interview on a podcast where she was talking about Lilly Singh, and she said that she was set up for failure.
Gen Z is not watching The Tonight Show. You know what I mean?
Totally.
They're watching their favorite celebrities on these shows. They're not watching Jimmy Fallon. Love Jimmy Fallon, you know, like he's funny, but he has his critiques. People critique him as they do any host. But I think that structure has worked since, you know, Johnny Carson. And it's just like, maybe it's time that we update it.
Was the Lilly show good? That's what I couldn't wrap my mind around because I kind of thought it was bad.
They set her up for failure.
Yeah, probably.
The writers were awful. They had her doing way too much. They had her trying to fill the role of the straight white man comic. And that's not her sense of humor. And that's not playing to her strengths as an Indian woman.
Totally.
You know, like who came from the internet. Like there's so many angles you could take there to make it interesting. And they just dropped the ball. I think she was a victim of that. You know, I don't think that she failed. I think that they set her up for failure. So it was just sad. And it sucks because the reality of it is she represents for a lot of men, you know, like, well, this is why a woman can't. Women aren't funny.
100%.
You know, and it's like, that's just solidifying it because she didn't play to her strengths. And it's just frustrating.
I will say, you guys, that it wasn't the end for Lilly. She has several projects in the works and is currently a judge on Canada's Got Talent. She recently came out with another book. She is in a lot of things. She's doing her, and even if you guys aren't seeing her, Trust me, when I was looking it up to see what she's doing, I was like, dang, okay, she is really out there. She's doing stuff, and good for her, because I'm sad the show didn't work out for her. Imagine if there was a late night talk show YouTuber, how many other YouTubers would be taken so seriously? I do think the industry has come so far, and there are a lot of influencers getting major opportunities, but I do think that if her show was like a massive success, everything would be 10 times as different. But I definitely want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.